we have a panel discussion titled The Making of a Post-COVID CDOs. And please welcome back Mr. Stanley Sum from KPMG to lead this session, as well as please welcome his panelists. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Daniel. Again, it's my pleasure to be the moderator of the panelists. Today is really our great honor to have Gordon and Tim with us on this, the making of post-COVID CDOs panel discussions. Maybe I think as a start, maybe may I invite Gordon and Tim to first of all introduce yourself a little bit and your role before we dive into some of the questions. And maybe Gordon, you go first.
Sure. Hi everyone, it's really my pleasure to join the CDO. Actually, it's the third year in a row, but this year is a little bit different. You know, I'm here as the panelist to talk a little bit about COVID and what actually changes, you know, the CDO's life. I think in general, I am the head of digital for QBE Insurance Asia. My key role is really to build the customer experience specifically for in the digital asset side, as well as my team is also the product owners for a lot of our digital assets. So that's really the key role. But I guess in a nutshell, you know, my key role is to drive a customer-centric culture in the organization. Tim.
Hi everyone, hi Gordon, hi Stanley. So I'm Tim, very happy to join CDO Trends today. I've been with Rosewood Hotel Group for about 3 years now, and I head the digital team for the group. So my remit goes from managing the e-commerce business, our website, platforms like WeChat, performance marketing, and also I'm very involved in different projects internally around digital transformation and really creating a digital culture within Rosewood, you know, a hospitality sector that has been very affected this year, of course.
Thank you, Gordon and Tim. So maybe I'll start with the first questions because you two are from a very different industries, right? One from insurance and other from Tim from hospitality. So, so far, how does COVID impact your business? And what are the actions that you have taken in response to the pandemic?
Maybe let me go first. So in general, I think the general insurance industry relatively is much less impacted compared to some of the specific industry like travel, like airlines. But there is definitely still a level of business impact. But then it's just less. And given because a lot of our products are actually, you know, lifestyle that we target, you know, local residents. But then I guess the key changes this year is there's actually no travel business for us. In the commercial side, in general, the business world is less active. There's less cargo shipment. There's, you know, less SME openings. There are retails closing down, sort of things. So in generally, I think there is negative impact, but definitely comparing to, you know, what teams you know, is working on, it's probably is less impactful.
Yeah, so for us, of course, this year has been very challenging and is continuing to be very challenging. So, you know, within our group, we have hotels all around the world. So we were touching China first and then region by region. I guess the good thing was that we learned a lot very early. And being a Hong Kong-based, you know, global company, we actually have I wasn't there, but, you know, people in the company have a lot of experience with what happened with SARS in the past, right? So, but I think, you know, our hotels, most of them were closed for a while and we've had to reopen. I would say right now, out of 40 hotels, we have about 60% of them that are operating in one way or another, not necessarily at full capacity. I think some of the most touched places, of course, are Southeast Asia, where people cannot fly, and you know, places like resorts and islands where there are just no flights. So but markets like China are recovering very fast. California, Mexico, we are actually seeing like the best performance ever in the history of some hotels. So it's quite amazing to see that as well.
Okay. No, thanks, Gordon and Tim, for your sharing about the experience in view of the COVID to the impact to your business. But maybe I have a follow-up questions with you, Timothy. Is so yes, you mentioned obviously hospitality or the hotel business is actually impacted, and you have Rosewood has different hotels and operations across the globe as well. Would you mind sharing with us a little bit more on, okay, so in the current situations, obviously, there is a lot of boundary in terms of physical interactions, but how did you handle the things that, okay, business needs to be continued, we want to link with the virtual world. How did you link that virtual physical bit with your role as in a digital area?
Yeah, so I think there are two things, right? There are one is the way we work internally with the hotel teams, and I think actually before COVID, we already started to really move things more and more digital. So, for example, internally, we started the Rosewood Digital Academy back a couple of years ago, where all our training was already happening online. Microsoft Teams was being rolled out. We just had to speed that up. So like the internal work actually was we just had to go faster. But of course, the main issue is we have a physical business, which is our hotels, and how do we cope with staying in touch with our customers there. So the only way to do that was really to go digital and to empower the local teams to keep producing content, and like everyone else, doing things like live streaming and sending campaigns and teaching people how to make a margarita at home instead of having it in our hotel, like things like that. I think because Rosewood is a very well-known brand, I think our content kind of resonated pretty well with our audience. I think it's really difficult if you don't have a brand. So I think what this taught us was really, of course, keep going digital, keep doing social, but also that if you don't have a brand, if people don't think of Rosewood as really this ultra luxury lifestyle brand, then people are not going to interact with us. So I think it's something we knew that it was important, but investing in the brand is really crucial right now. And I know it's really difficult for many hotel companies that maybe they're running out of money, like many of us. But I think it's what's going to make the difference long term.
Okay, thanks for that. And maybe a question to Gordon now, because you mentioned earlier around the impact to the insurance business is probably less severe to some other sectors that we've seen. But I'm also cautious of the rise of virtual insurers in the region, right? And in fact, the increasing consumption of financial services via virtual means. So how do you see? Do you see this as a threat to an existing player like QBE, or is it how do you respond as a CDO in this space?
Yeah, so in general, I do not think that it's a threat. I think it's definitely there is competition, but indeed a relatively healthy one. And I see them as potential partners, and in fact I actually talk to them a lot to explore any kind of opportunities in terms of partnerships. But I guess here's my a little bit secret to kind of use those new players. So often I actually got the same questions from a lot of my senior management saying there are a lot of virtual or digital only players in the market coming in. Is it a really big threat? And usually at that time I would say yes. And if we look at their experience, the design is very good. It's very customer centric, and often I would use that as a use case or a pitch to get their buy-in, get my management buy-in in terms of getting the right capability ready. We as QBE, as a more traditional insurer, needs these kind of capabilities to build something like that. So, and it usually works. I mean, they see that the difference in terms of the experience offering from a traditional insurer comparing to a digital only insurer. There is difference, and I would say these new players actually pushes up a lot of the industry standard in terms of the customer experience.
Okay, thank you. And another questions I would like to ask both Tim and Gordon as well is you mentioned obviously digital becomes very important. I mean, from a lot of different perspectives, and I just want to see, because I have a lot of clients actually, they have a questions of, okay, well, in the digital world, in the technology space, there's so many demands from the business actually coming to me on a day-to-day basis. There are so many things that people want to do, and they all think is, yeah, let's go digital, but a lot of things. So as a CDO, like what do you do? How do you prioritize them, or how do you handle this this kind of challenges? Maybe Tim, would you like to go first on this?
Sure. Yeah. So I think many others here, and I guess many of us on the call, the last couple of years, I mean, our whole career, we spent our time preaching about digital and we have to go digital, and we were kind of fighting for that, all the time. Of course, I don't think any of us now has to preach anymore about technology and digital. It's now the opposite. The things are flipped, but I think for me and many of us probably, now I'm being overwhelmed by things. Everybody thinks digital is going to solve their problems, and every business unit need to reinvent themselves. So it's great. So I think our job is really to manage internal expectations, and that goes through planning. It goes through a very specific internal schedule of what are the meetings we're going to be able to address those things, and what is in my pipeline, and how much room do I have to add projects and things like that. So with my manager, who is the CIO in the company, I think we definitely spend a lot of time sharing our plans, aligning with different stakeholders, and always keeping an open mind and see how we can help every business unit. But now we're planning, because we don't know when hotels are reopening also, so it's a bit difficult. But I would say we have a long-term plan, which doesn't really change much, and then on a quarterly basis, we of course have to review plans with everyone on the company. But yeah, it's quite it's not easy for sure. But you have to be available. You have to socialize with your colleagues. You have to be there, and just asking people what's going on, especially in these virtual days where you don't see people around, saying, oh, what's up, how can I help? I think now it's our job to actually reach out. We have to reach out more to people, even if we know that every time we reach out to someone, we're going to have more work. It's the right thing to do.
Okay, thank you, Tim. So Gordon, how do you handle on all these challenges as well?
Yeah, so I think like Tim said, it's actually good, for us, that because we no longer really needs to, pitch and, tell the whole story about, the whole digital propositions. They will actually come to me. But then the thing is, instead of prioritizing all these demand, we usually classify each I guess initiative into 3 categories either. So it's either improving customer experience, agent experience, or partners experience, as well as internal staff experience. And definitely we would like to push a little bit more on the customer experience, because at the end of the day, that would actually help the end policy holder to get the right cover at the right time. So this is something that we usually would put the most priority on. And I guess in general, in terms of our roadmap, we definitely have the pressure to, finish our roadmap, about 50% earlier. So with our 3 years plan, we definitely get the message from management that we need to actually finish those in 18 months. So that's, some kind of pressure. But then I guess it's a big thing. It's a good thing for us.
Yeah, so definitely. Well, we see the time pressures like in my earlier presentations on the expectations on getting things accelerated as well. Thank you, Gordon and Tim, you're sharing. Oh, actually, now we have also a few questions from the audience. I think they have some quite specific thing that they would like to hear from Timothee and Gordon. You maybe, I guess let me start with Tim. So I see a questions around, okay, recovery is uneven across the world. So are you working with data to prepare for a new normal where the, I think, well, digital will likely to become like the front and center of the hospitality, right? So Tim, would you like to take this one?
Sure. So yeah, so I can see the question as well. So yeah, data, of course, is very important. At the same time, we are, so I mean, there is a few things there, right? First, we have to follow local government regulations, right? So our operations team, this is really them leading this with all the different governments, and then different countries have different requirements, right? So we all know that China is very well organized with WeChat and tracking and all these kind of things. In Hong Kong, we hear about maybe there is going to be an app where we can start using when we want to travel to Singapore and vice versa. I mean, every place is different. I think our local teams actually are the best one position to do that. It's very hard for our team to manage this, at corporate. I think we give them guidance, and of course we work with legal on all the data management requirements and things like that. I think what I'm really looking at on my side is, how can we look at the data to understand where to put our efforts, time and money to help our hotels recover faster. Because, some of our hotels, maybe we know only 1 week before that we're going to be able to open. So it means we need to turn on the digital engine like right away, what customers can you go after, where should we spend our money for search and all that kind of stuff. I think this is where my team spends most of their time, is really looking at the e-commerce data and what are people looking for. And it's true that people have been looking a lot for health standards. And one of the opportunity for us, we always have to look for the silver lining there, is that before, always people always go to OTA or travel agents to book hotels. I think now we see a trend where people contact us even more. It was already part of our strategy, right? Every hotel wants more direct clients, but I think now we see people already going to our website more than before, call our reservation center more than before. They want to hear from us directly about the health and hygiene. You see Google, I think, came out with some reports on the search, like hotel and COVID or hotel hygiene standards, all that stuff, like when these searches went through the roof. So yes, of course, we are producing content and make sure we have content on our website that talks about these things. So we sure. But the data is very important. I think at the same time, we don't have enough time to look at it. It's like everyone, right? So we have to start small. Like I think someone was talking about that earlier.
Thank you, Tim. And then we have another interesting questions from our participants around what do we need to focus, right? So the question is, what do we need to focus on as a business in 2021, right? One big challenge is about developing future-ready workforce. But what about training up the people, or are we facing a significant for talent here in the region? Like, Gordon, do you have any problem in getting talents?
Definitely. So that's one of the things, especially I think in insurance world, we try to, especially me, I try to get, talents from all, around different industries, especially the ones that, really focus on customer. In order to kind of mix up the mindset within the organizations, to help us, to transform into a more customer-centric organization. And in terms of skill set, I mean, we place a lot of focus in customer experience design. So we've been, looking into how we can build up the design capabilities in-house within QBE Asia, and this is something that it's something that we start from scratch pretty much. We've never really got like a design team that actually works on like UX UI, and also the experience design, the omni experience design. We don't have any of those, in the earlier times. So this is something that we definitely are developing, and we've done some this year, but because of COVID, it's not that active. Especially in Singapore. In Hong Kong, it's okay. So next year we need to continue our journey and to build up this customer-centric culture in the organization.
Yeah, on talent, I can comment a little bit. I think there are a couple of things, especially for people in Hong Kong. I think a couple of things need to happen, I think, in Hong Kong, and it's happening, I would say, because we're forced to, but I think people need to change a little bit their mindset. In Hong Kong, there is a lot of talent. I think the problem is that people want too much, and they want to hire experienced people with 10 years experience for everything, whereas we have actually a huge amount of students that are just coming out of school. Maybe they don't have the experience, but I can tell you these guys are super smart and they understand a lot of things actually much faster than us. So I think our job as leaders is to really enable them and coach them. And 20-30% of my time should be around coaching and teaching those people. And the second thing is spending time with them so that they at least spend a few years with me, right? I think that's the issue that people, we know people jump around in Hong Kong, like that's a fact, so unless you give a 20% increase every year to your people, they're not going to stay with you because, Gordon is going to recruit someone in my team and give him a huge salary increase. But I think, we have to become better at recruiting younger people, and we have to become better at giving them a very clear 2-3 years plan, and knowing that maybe after that 2-3 years plan they're going to leave, and it's okay. And I think that that's something people need to really change their mindset and invest in the youth. So I hope everyone recruits younger people instead of recruiting one guy, expensive one. Recruit 2 young ones. They're going to do a lot more stuff.
Yeah, indeed, it's a fight for talents, and it's always not an easy one. So I'm conscious of time, so probably I would just go to we take our questions as a last question. So, which is also linked to the people side, which we see a lot of people are talking about personally resilient and supporting the resilient team during the COVID situations, right, within the digital team. So. I know, Gordon, you shared a little bit just in the questions earlier, but is there any other core skills for both like Gordon and Tim you have seen or experienced in actually like really helping people to be more resilient or like making sure like everyone is continue to perform and deliver during the, I would say, a very fluid situations like what we have experienced over the last 9-10 months?
Yeah. Yeah, it is a tough one. Yes, but I would say for the past 6-7 months, when everyone is actually literally every single one in the organization is working from home, it actually, you know, teaches or gives some learnings to all levels, and especially empowerment. And I think we understand that we don't need to see the person, you know, physically in order to get them, you know, do things effectively. So this is, you know, the key things that I think in all levels of management, they've learned that. And and it's actually quite good to, you know, get everyone to, you know, get familiar with all the equipments, all the, you know, the VPN stuff, so that, you know, as an organization we become much more agile. We're even thinking about, you know, in terms of workspace, do we actually need that big of a office, or should we have, you know, more satellite office where everyone are flexible to work whenever they want, whenever they want, or this sort of thing. So it actually triggers a lot of you know, new thinkings. And you know, I can't agree more from Team's point on, you know, getting more younger talents into the pool, so that, you know, those thinkings can be, you know, innovative. And I think a lot of the organizations around the world is open. It's getting a lot more open to hear these ideas.
Yeah, I think to add on to that, so I think, and you know, if some of you heard me talking in other events, I actually say that quite often. I think, and but I don't think it's because of COVID. I think it's in general. I think digital people, technology people need to really beef up two skills. One is their sales skills, and now it's even more important because you're not in the same room as people. So, you know, you need to be really comfortable pitching your ideas and moving forward within these virtual rooms, and you need to be very good at putting together a very short presentation and a deck and pitch your ideas, right? So the digital people, IT tech people, they have to do it themselves now. And I think, you know, one thing I've been trying with the team is really to empower them to do that. And so it goes also with, like, you know, being very comfortable in public speaking and communication skills, interpersonal skills, which, you know, doesn't necessarily come in handy with people that are super smart at technology and digital. So of course it's not for everyone. You know, some people kind of also have those natural skills, but I think it's even more important now. I mean, you know, even myself, I'm investing time to getting better at presenting to top execs and stuff like that. I mean, it's never stop improving those skills. So, and yeah, resilience. I think it's. I think everyone has been resilient. Hopefully, we all want to keep our jobs, and we want to help the people keep their jobs in our company. So, doing our best.
Yeah, indeed. It's a tough year for I think everyone here in the world. And obviously, I think going forward is going to be a very agile kind of workforce arrangements, and we all need to be adaptable for it. Okay, I think with that, thanks a lot, Gordon and Tim, for your sharing. Very insightful. I think it's a lot of great learning for a lot of us here. I think this is wrap up the sections. Maybe over to you, Daniel, on our next